Back into the mailbag we go. The questions are elevating in quality, much like my excitement level is going up and up for the season to get started. I am enjoying summer. I hope you all are as well. Football is just about a month away. Braxton says, Spencer, interested in hearing how surprised or not surprised you'd be if Novosad started week 1. Personally, I'm pleasantly surprised he hasn't transferred. Me too. But maybe he's more in contention for the starting job than I realize. He has one of the best, or he has to be one of the best backups in college if he's QB2. Yes, like I agree. I think he has one of the highest ceilings of a QB2, and I do feel good because he's going into his third year of college football about him being Oregon's number 2 quarterback. That's a good place to be. And forever and always, my ideal backup quarterback is Brian Bennett. You can win games with Brian Bennett. Maybe you're not maximizing your team's potential, but if your quarterback goes out for a couple games like Darren Thomas did in 2011, hey, you can win a couple games with Brian Bennett. That's what I'm looking for. You know, Oregon's quarterback commit in the class of 2026, I compared him to Brian Bennett. And guess what? If he winds up being a starter one day, you can win football games with that. I mean, when Brian Bennett left Oregon, he went down to the FCS ranks. He tore it up. He basically went down and became Vernon Adams. So, bringing this back to your question, I would be fairly stunned if the first snap taken against Montana State at Autzen Stadium, August 30th, in this year, 2025, yeah, I would be pretty stunned. And for a couple of reasons. Number one, Dante Moore is someone who took a very unique path to get to this point to be the presumptive starting quarterback. And I don't think that whether you like this or not, Lanning talked in the spring about, everything's competition. We're not naming that. He didn't bring a quarterback to media days. That wasn't an accident. He did have some answers and things to say about the quarterback position, and I'll get to that a little bit more in a moment. But you don't bring in a former 5-star recruit who, by a couple services, was the best quarterback in his recruiting class and sit him for a year if you haven't told him you're going to be the starting quarterback, or you'd have to seriously screw up to not. Now, maybe that's not the way it went down. I'd be pretty surprised if it wasn't. So this is certainly the best quarterback depth that Oregon's had in the last couple of years. Will it be the best quarterback season we've seen from Oregon in the Dan Lanning era? Probably not. Probably be the worst one, which is, hey, great news, by the way, because I think Dante Moore probably goes for around 3,000 yards, mid to high 60s completion percentage, mid 20s to low 30s touchdowns. Hopefully he keeps the interceptions under 10. He does that, I'm a happy camper. And Oregon's in the college football playoff, by the way. So that statistically would be the worst season of an Oregon quarterback since Dan Lanning arrived. So for Dante Moore, I don't think he would go on that trajectory if he didn't have a pretty solid assurance he was going to start at Oregon, number one. And then number two, Lanning and the players, they didn't directly mention it. When asked about quarterbacks, Lanning mentioned several guys. Dante Moore's name usually came up first. When you talk to the players who, maybe don't have the same level of media experience or, interview questions or whatnot as Coach Lanning does, there was a tendency in a couple of different moments when I talked to guys or when I heard other people talking to him in Vegas last week, Dante Moore's name usually came up first. So I would be on Spencer's stunnedness. Is that a word? Level of Spencer's stunned. I don't even know where the grammatical needs are for. You get what I'm trying to say. My scale of how stunned I would be, 9.5. Not because I don't think Novosad's good enough to start and talented enough to start. Dude can make throws. Dude can ball. I hope he has a great career one day at Oregon or anywhere else. I really do. Because he seems like an awesome guy. I'm glad he's QB2. But man, if he starts over Dante Moore, my eyes will become as big as jawbreakers. I will be more than a little shocked. So, hope that answers your question. I love that thought, though. Nathan, here's one for the SSA, the Social Security Agency. It's actually administration, Social Security Administration. Sorry, got to call it that because I'm a goofball. Well, you listen to me all the time, so you have to know it takes one to know one. The 5 best under-the-radar breakout candidates are Davey Uli, Blake Purchase, Jurion Dickey, Ife Obadegwu, and Jerry Mixon. My toughest omissions were multiple receivers and Elijah Rushing. Yeah, Mateo was pretty bullish on Elijah Rushing when I talked to him last week. Boy, I like under the radar. Remember, don't overreact to, no, I don't think that he's going to get by under the radar. It's like when you pick, I go through this on Locked On College Football sometimes. I'll say my conference championship dark horse contenders are Georgia Tech and the ACC, my favorite ones. Georgia Tech and the ACC, Illinois and the Big Ten. And then I'll get pushback. Oh, man, this team's not as good as this team on paper. Yes, I know. That's why it's under the radar. So Purchase is a great selection. Played as a true freshman. I'm not entirely certain what happened last year. There might have been an injury. We don't really know. But he didn't hardly play. Dude looked awesome in the spring game. The scoop and score. He is an awesome athlete to have out there on the edge. Jurion Dickey, man, I really hope we don't look back one day and say he's Justin Flo Part 2. 5-star recruit, all the talent in the world. Injury early in his career, never the same after that. It happens. It's football. It can happen in any sport. But if Jurion Dickey doesn't have a decent-sized role in the offense this year, that might be what we're looking at in that regard. Ife Obadegwu, I think that's one of Oregon's starting outside corners this year. I've heard a lot of buzz on him, dating all the way back to spring ball. Jerry Mixon. Hey, Devin Jackson is reportedly, I believe, limited in to begin fall camp. He didn't participate in the spring game, and I think got dinged up at the end of last season. I think Jerry Mixon looked the best of the other linebackers behind Betcher and Jackson. I know what Bryce Betcher is. He's one of Oregon's most important defensive players. I know what Devin Jackson is, but if Jackson isn't there, I bet it'll be Mixon, who's going into his 3rd year, former 3-star recruit, guy who was, stuck it out, and I'm sure he had chances to transfer, but man, I tell you, in that spring game, go back and watch the plays he made. He looked big, he looked fast, he looked like a dude. So I like that pick a lot. The Davey Uli one is interesting. I see where you're coming from with the other ones. I think Uli has the same role as he had last year, which is 6th or 7th offensive lineman. In a position, by the way, of non-zero importance, lest we forget that he started several. I just thought of an Ocean's 11 line. My brother's going to laugh at that. He started up at Wisconsin. I think there were a couple other games too when Harper was out with an injury and they were shuffling guys around. Uli was darn good. He's been quietly a sneaky productive member of Oregon's offensive line. He had snaps in the Big Ten championship game. Wisconsin, when Harper was out, Uli was mostly the guy. Well, Matthew Bedford got hurt once. I think he's Oregon's starting right guard. If he gets hurt again, insert Davey Uli, and I like that. I feel okay with that. You need 7 or 8 good offensive linemen going into every season. I think Oregon's got that this year. Certainly, there are at least 7 I feel really good about. Iuli's one of them. So I don't think, breakout candidate for Uli would be starting over Pranon or Bedford. I think Bedford would be more likely of the 2 coming off an injury there. But, if one of those guys go down with a season-ending injury, hey, Davey Uli's probably one of your 5 starting offensive linemen.